I was hiding under your porch because I love you. Can I stay?
No.
Hey, what are you doing?
Huh? No, I'm just gonna play Mario while I'm on my way to work.
Isn't that dangerous, though?
No, it's not dangerous because I can't text on it.
I mean, fair enough, you can't text and drive, but I'm more worried about your brakes going out in that piece of shit truck.
Fuck you. Yes, the Nintendo Game Boy. Please excuse the cover. It's a custom cover. That's how I got my Game Boy. I just got it today, a couple hours ago. But who cares? Yeah. This thing was revolutionary because you could take it anywhere. I never said play it. What I mean by that is, well, takes batteries. Now, yeah, you don't have to keep it plugged into the wall like you would with a Nintendo. But it takes 4 of these sons of bitches. I guess it's a good thing that this thing really has, like, a 20-hour battery life, which is definitely something the Atari Lynx or the Sega, the Game Gear could not say. So, well, you know what? It can't be that bad. People say the game, it's definitely outdated, but, you know, it can't be that bad. Well, joke's on you, it is. Because, well, that's the nice thing. You could take this anywhere, and you could play it anywhere. Or at least you could try. You couldn't play it if you were in somebody's basement after being kidnapped. You know, it's kind of dumb, but I understand why they did it. You know, cut costs, which really did impact the Game Boy. It's like $150 at launch. Plus that Tetris included, which is like probably a $40 game, because Game Boy games are $40, I think. But yeah, there's no backlit screen, so there's no light on the screen. You know how your phone, you can see it in like darkness because it shines, it lights up. This don't do that. Instead, you're looking at this big green olive of a screen. That's, I don't know, probably 2 inches. And it is green. It is disgusting looking. Now, if you're a sane person and you don't like the gross-ass green screen, well, let me present to you the Game Boy Pocket. Yeah, I got this in the same bundle. This was released in 1996, I believe, which was a whole, 7 years after this fucking thing released. But you know what? No fucking sequel. You know why? Well, I don't know, Pokemon just released that year, and it was blowing the fuck up. So, you know, they decided, oh, let's get rid of that ugly-ass screen, and make this like $50, I think it was. And the Game Boy Pocket was born. And it's smaller, and it doesn't have an ugly-ass screen like the Game Boy does. So, hey, you know what? Maybe I should just stop complaining. Let's just play this. It only needs 2 batteries. You know, let's just take the batteries out of this thing. Okay, and let's just... Oh, shit. You'd never believe it, but it takes AAAs. You know why AAAs are called AAAs instead of AAs? You know, AAs have 2 A's, AAAs have 3 A's, right? You know why? Because every time you use AAAs, they just make you want to scream louder. Ah! You guys are lucky I have AAAs. Put that sumbitch in, put that sumbitch in. Mind you, it's not even symmetrical. They could have fit AAs. But you know what? Nintendo does what Nintendo does best. Be a bitch. Come to think of it, the original Game Boy has this little thing on the power switch, so when you go to put in a game, it locks the game in. So, and well, if you didn't know, oh, there goes my game. If you didn't know, the Game Boy Color doesn't have that, so if you put it in, it don't fit. But here's the thing, the Game Boy Pocket doesn't have that. So what would happen if you put a Game Boy Color game in an original Game Boy? Oh, yep. This game pack is only for the Game Boy Color. Use it with the Game Boy Color. Now you know. You and the guy she told you not to worry about. God, that's so dumb. You know, it's a real bummer that when this thing came out, you know, the original Game Boy didn't have a backlit screen, so you'd think, oh, this one's a revision. You know, Nintendo would add that, right? No, they fucking didn't. It's not backlit. Why the fuck is it not backlit? The Game Gear was out by this time, and yeah, the Game Gear took 6 AA batteries instead of AAAs, and it didn't last as long, but it had a backlit screen. Backlit screens are a big fucking deal, whether you like it or not. Over in Japan, those lucky sons of bitches, they got a Game Boy Light. I don't have one of those, because do I look Japanese? No, I'm an American. That sounds really racist, I'm sorry. But I don't have anything Japanese, really. So, only in Japan? Hello? I mean, granted, it was the same year the Game Boy Color came out, so it's kind of like, oh, are you gonna play your old Game Boy games with a lit screen? Or are you gonna go to the Game Boy Color and play the Game Boy Color games that you can on the Game Boy? But that's not backlit either. If you think it's just Nintendo being dumb now, they've always been that way. Nintendo's always been... Nintendo, why? I mean, yeah, you can mod these pretty easy and get really nice backlit screens. That's even better than the Game Boy Light. Make them rechargeable, put emulators on these things. But that would cost like $150 for a basic kit. I don't want to spend that much money. I paid $70 for this, a normal Game Boy, and a Game Boy Advance that I had to fix up on my own. Why do I want to... Game Boy Pocket is a disappointment. It's cool. It's a cool little piece of Nintendo history. It's like, hey, remember the Game Boy? We tried to make it better. And we failed. You know what? That's okay, because in I think it was 1994, we got the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo. Thank fucking Christ. Because if we wouldn't have had this, I would have used the Game Boy player. No. But this is really nice. Like, even if you have every Game Boy, original Game Boy in every color, whatever, get this thing. This is so much better. Just play it on your Super Nintendo. Oh yeah, it still doesn't play Game Boy Color games. At least it's backlit. Well, hey, let's look at some games for this piece of crap. Starting off with, well, I live streamed this game. This game's really good. Super Mario Land. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's another thing. You gotta... Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. It's okay, that's the volume. That's another thing. It's like, oh, you don't like how the light's sitting? Whoa, we can just change stuff. Which also means you can play in the Epic Gamer Impossible mode. Oh yeah. Professional. See, I told you I was just good. It's really hard to get this to capture on camera just because of how shitty the screen is. So yeah, here's where the Game Boy suffered. The Game Boy was actually really good at replicating NES games, but that's the problem. The Game Boy came out about the time the Super Nintendo came out. So, the Game Boy was trying to run Super Nintendo games, and it just couldn't do that very well anyways. I mean, a good example is Street Fighter 2. Yeah, Street Fighter 2 came out for this fucking thing. If you'd believe it. And it just didn't run well. Because you got 2 buttons, even though it's like a 6-button game. It just didn't work very well. See, and Mortal Kombat came out on this thing too. Oh yeah, I got a flower. So, yeah. Oh well, next game. Oh yes, Mega Man 2. I just got this game as well. Good old Mega Man 2. Oh god damn it. These things get dirty really easy. That didn't happen. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. Oh, can you not see that very well? I'm sorry, but I'm playing on a fucking Game Boy. Average Pokemon Moron 2 video quality. Bro, look at this new technology that I just bought for video capture. All my games are gonna look like this now. All my gameplays are gonna look like this now. Oh my god, this fucking... I was never... Okay, like, at least I can admit, I was never good at Mega Man. At least the soundtrack's pretty dope. What? I died. Yay! Next game. Oh yes, the packin' title, Tetris. Good old fucking Tetris. That you still can't fucking see. It's fucking Tetris. Never would have guessed, right? Except this game actually has a really good song. Well, shit. Sorry you can't see it where the damn, but like, that's just kind of how Game Boy is in a nutshell. So yeah, it's fucking Tetris. If you can't see it, it's fucking Tetris. Okay? Just count on me. Just believe me when I say that. It's fucking Tetris. Now, you may have asked, why didn't you just use a Super Game Boy? Yeah, well, teachers don't give you the answer to math solutions now, do they? I really wanted to show you how bad this fucking screen is. Now, granted, it is worse on camera, but it is still terrible. So, do I recommend a Game Boy today? Well, if you like crack, yeah, maybe. But if you're sane, no, please. I mean, hell, if anything, get a Game Boy Pocket, but no. My recommended way to play original Game Boy games is to just get a Super Game Boy. Or a Game Boy player for the GameCube. Or hell, maybe even a Game Boy Light. Or Game Boy Advance SP, but just don't. Original Game Boy games are not good on the original Game Boy. So, is it a cool collector's piece? Yes. I want to replace the plastic screen with an original looking one. So it's a cool collector's piece to have the original Game Boy, even though it's not that expensive. It's still really cool to have. So, overall, I don't recommend the Game Boy.